Right now, St. Louis is dealing with another round of snow.
And as always this morning, we've got crews out in the elements for live team coverage.
Just within the last couple of hours, we've had one band of snow come through St. Louis. Now another band's pushing in, and the snow's picking up once again, Bree.
And it's not just snow we're talking about, but the chance for freezing rain as we head through the morning. Your full forecast coming up.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Good morning. It is 4 a.m. I'm Pat McGonigal in for Nicole.
And I'm Sarah Daly. We appreciate you starting your morning early with us and stopping by. If you haven't had a chance to peek outside,
What was your first thought when you looked out there?
please don't be a lot. Please don't be a lot.
I think that's what everyone is thinking, but we are dealing with another round of snow.
And Pat, this just comes a couple of days after, of course, we were hit with more than 10 inches across our area.
So let's take a look at some video shot overnight just to give you a sense of the snow that is falling in St. Louis at this hour.
This is a live look outside Lambert International Airport, and you can see there are still some flakes flying around this morning. More like a dusting, but it's not going to take much because of all the winter weather we saw. And of course, we have team coverage.
That's right. Scott's been tracking the forecast. He is out in the elements. Bree is also looking at the conditions. So, Scott, the people really need to hear that this is not going to be a repeat of Sunday and Monday, right?
No, we're not getting several inches of snow, but we may get an inch or so of snow before all is said and done this morning, as in many spots may even get a little more than that because some of these bands are producing some little brief downbursts of snow at this point. Let's show you what's going on as we check out our first alert weather radar for you at this point. Again, in downtown St. Louis, the snowflakes are coming down, and you can see that the darker green shading is now pushing in from South St. Louis right on in along Highway 40. It stretches all the way out 40 through St. Charles County and now out towards Wentzville. That first band has lifted on towards the north. Where you see that darker green, it's snowing at a pretty good clip, and all of our roads around the area this morning that are under this band have quickly, Bree, become snow-covered once again. Even the treated roads seem to have some issues out here this morning.
Yeah, it's going to make things pretty sloppy as we head through the morning. And it's those flakes that are falling because, again, the air is so cold and it's pretty dry out there. They're big, fat flakes, too. And unfortunately, that is leading to coated roadways. Once again, of course, on-ramps, off-ramps. I had some slippery trouble this morning, so you really want to take it easy. Temperatures are still bone-chilling cold out there. We are above zero, thankfully, but we are well below freezing. So you take a look, hovering around the 20-degree mark, 20 in St. Louis, 19 Ladue, 19 St. Charles. Here's what might even be the trickier spot about today. Yes, we have a little bit of snowfall out there. We're talking about a dusting, maybe an inch or two in some spots that get the thicker stuff. But as we head towards sunrise and towards the noontime hour, Pat and Sarah, that's when we introduce the chance for some freezing rain and freezing drizzle, and that is not what we need. So we're going to take a closer look at that and, of course, our full forecast in just a little bit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bree. Right now we're going to go out to Jim Tuxbury, one of our commuter dudes, to get a real-time look at how the roads are right now. Tux?
Hey, good morning. The first thing I thought of this morning was the great Yogi Berra. It's deja vu all over again, but not true, according to you guys. Just an inch or two. I will tell you this, it's probably going to be enough to mess up the morning commute. I'm headed 55 northbound, just coming up on Virginia Avenue. Highway 55 is snow-covered. People are taking it slow, except for one guy in a pickup truck here. That'll be the guy that ends up spinning out. Oh, wait, here's his friend. He may, too. We'll see. I've got to dial back to about 40 miles an hour. That seems reasonable here. On the side roads, Graveway, McKenzie, the roads in South County I've been on this morning, they were snow-covered, but, again, passable. So I'm going to keep it out here throughout the rush hour this morning. I'm going to give you real-time conditions on the road as they happen. That's what's going on here on Highway 55. I am commuter dude Jim Tuxbury. Back to you guys.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tux. We've always seen those guys on the trucks. We know how you feel. This is new this morning. Parkway District School will be closed now for the rest of the week. Following the extreme cold, some pipes burst, flooding the school. Now, restoration crews worked overnight. This happened at Shenandoah Valley Elementary in Chesterfield to clean up after a burst pipe put more than 2 feet of water in the school. Look at that mess. Now, a man plowing snow first noticed water pouring out of the school and into the school. The water flooded half of the building when it was all said and done. Now, not only did they have to dry it out, but there's concern, of course, for contamination and mold. Just a huge situation. Stephanie Diffin will join us live in the next half hour about a crisis meeting that's being held later this morning.
And Pat, that's not the only school now with some damage. New information about another school closed because of water issues. 2/3 of Johnson Wabash Elementary School in the Ferguson-Florissant district was damaged when a sprinkler head froze sometime on Tuesday. Now, classes are canceled for the rest of the week and will be temporarily moved to the First Baptist Church of Ferguson for next week. An informational meeting for parents will be held tonight at 5:30 at the Johnson Wabash School gym. Pat?
And Sarah, now to St. Charles, where a pipe burst in the old courthouse and executive office building last night. Both buildings will be closed to the public today. The leak affected 3 floors, and crews are working right now to clean up another big mess there. It's too early to know just how much damage was done, but again, it's the St. Charles County old courthouse and executive office building on 3rd Street closed today. Sarah?
And problems continue as a broken sprinkler line forces the movie theater in downtown St. Louis to close. There is no damage at the MX Movies, just some water on the carpeting in the front of the theater, but the theater will be closed until Friday. Trova Gifts, Snarf's Sandwiches, and the Asian restaurant, also in the MX, are closed for the next few days due to frozen pipes.
Even more now, a frozen pipe burst at Pleasant Grove Church in North St. Louis, leaving about 1/3 of the sanctuary underwater. Crews finished draining the water out, but the damage it left behind, they tell us, is extensive. As you can see, water covered the entire floor in front of the pulpit. The carpet and communion table are also damaged. Now, there is one upside to all of this extreme winter weather. The St. Louis Treasurer has suspended parking enforcement until Monday. Now, in announcing that decision on Twitter last night, the Treasurer said it was to give city street crews plenty of time to clear the roads. You can't see it, but Bree Smith was pumping her fist as she just got the news that she didn't have to feed the meter for a little bit.
Just saved me $1.50 in quarters, my friend. That is valuable information. Now, as we head through the rest of the morning, what you really need to stay focused on is the radar, because it is going to be fairly active as we head towards that morning commute. We've already seen some snow bands push through, and when you take a look at the First Alert Weather Radar, it's not widespread, right? But the problem is where you see that heavier purple, and as Scott was showing you earlier when we had a different version of the radar on the heavier shades of green, there is some heavier bands coming through. Big, fat, dry flakes. That's all it takes to coat those roads again, and as a result, National Weather Service has pushed that winter weather advisory further north now, including the metro. This is through noon today, stretching from Montgomery, Lincoln into Calhoun, over towards Bond and Marion County. Not just because of the slight additional snowfall accumulation, but as temperatures begin to warm gradually this morning, we're expecting to transition to some light freezing drizzle. Grounds are thoroughly frozen, and so that means that freezing drizzle will cause slippery spots very, very quickly. So the morning commute, slick and sloppy. Visibility not too bad as that snowfall pushes through. We should be able to see better, but it does mean that this morning's commute is going to be pretty troublesome. Lots of extra room between you and other vehicles, and definitely plan extra time. By the time we get to the evening commute today, the sky should be dry. But of course, we're still trying to get those roads cleaned up from the mess last weekend and then this additional dusting this morning. So today definitely warrants extra time as far as the weather goes, and of course as far as the roads go. We'll take another look at this and that full 7-day forecast coming up in just a little bit. Pat and Sarah?
Okay, thanks a lot, Bree. It is 4:08 right now in a Missouri rate case known nationwide.
The new twist expected today in the years-old Maryville case.
Right now you're looking at Lambert St. Louis International Airport, and we are looking at snow coming down now. Officially, the melted total so far at Lambert's been about 0.03 of an inch of liquid, and that'll translate based on the fact that this is pretty dry snow and the fact that it's still just 20 degrees in St. Louis. That'll tend to translate to about 1/2 inch of snow. We just got a report out of Wentzville about 1/2 inch of snow also marked down, and Soulard tweeted us about 1/2 inch of snow. And what we're showing you here is the radar. We didn't put the winter color table on because we wanted you to be able to see this darker green shading in here, which is stretching from New Athens and right over towards Columbia, Illinois, right on in through Lemay and heading out towards Richmond Heights and Town and Country into the Chesterfield Valley and coming in towards Maryland Heights. That's where you get a little band of heavier snow. Now, there's not a lot behind this. Most of the rest of the active weather is much farther to our south. So the bottom line here is we're going to be looking at a transition a little later on this morning as temperatures begin to warm into some freezing drizzle. Don't think there'll be a whole lot of it, but certainly anything that's not treated once we get into the upper 20s to around 30 will be glazed over even more. And even things that have been treated this morning, since we're around 20, Well, we're seeing that snow stick to some of those treated roads as well. So slick spots out there locally, as much as an inch or maybe even a little more than that in a few spots early this morning as that snow continues to roll down. On the Illinois side of the river, we have our other commuter due this morning. Jeff Wilson's cruising around. We're keeping you updated on the roads. How's it look, Jeff?
Good morning, Scott. Thanks. I'll tell you, the snow has covered the highways over here as well. I'm on 5570 just now getting off the exchange onto 255 northbound. 5570 down there has one lane open right down the middle. It looks like that's where the IDOT trucks have gone and spread chemicals. Now I'm on the ramp. It's very slick. It's very, I have to tell you, this morning on the way in, getting on the on-ramp to the highway near my house, I'm going about 15 miles per hour, and then spun out. Went one full turn, 360 degrees, very slow, and I was very lucky. I ended up pointed the right direction in the middle of the lane, and there was no other traffic around. So it's very slippery. Take it easy. I thought that would never happen to me because I drive very slow on the snow. But take it easy out there. We'll keep an eye on the conditions all morning long. Back to you in the studio.
That's great advice, Jeff. Yeah, it's so easy to spin out. Just err on the side of caution. It is now 4:13, and today we will find out whether charges will be filed in a rape case and a Missouri case that gained national attention. You may recall back in October, Maryville teen Daisy Coleman went public with some allegations that she was sexually assaulted 2 years ago. Now, Daisy was 14 at the time. Her alleged attacker was 17. Prosecutors originally dismissed felony charges, saying that Daisy and her mom stopped cooperating with investigators.
And 2,500 Macy's employees are losing their jobs, and the location at Jamestown Mall is closing. There are 88 employees at the mall's location that will lose their jobs unless they are reassigned locally. For the Jamestown Mall, this means losing its last anchor store. JCPenney's outlet store just closed its doors this week, so now only a handful of shops make up the North County Mall. And shoppers say they are not surprised by this announcement.
This used to be a hangout spot for everyone, and now like all the youth had to go out somewhere else.
County officials say they have been watching the Jamestown Mall situation, and this was not at all unexpected.
It is now 4:14.
And bitter cold and no light, the reason you'll be thankful for the winter season here in the States.
For the winter season? Did you say that? Yes. I know. I'm telling you. She said I'll be thankful.
Welcome back. It's 4:17, and take a look at this. It might make you feel a little bit better about the bitter cold we're enjoying. In quote, or experiencing right here. These are kids in Fairbanks, Alaska. This is recess. Now you might be saying, but why is it nighttime? Well, it's recess in the dark because this time of the year, Alaska sees so little sunlight. That's just the way it looks. Now, by the way, if you're wondering, the kids don't stay inside for recess in Alaska unless it hits 20 below zero.
Talk about bundling up. That's horrifying.
Yeah,
but
they've been warmer than we have. You know, earlier this week when temperatures were below zero, you know, we were down to 8 degrees below zero, and the Alaska National Weather Service tweeted out a tweet that said our coldest temperature right now in the entire state, 6 below.
I remember you said
that. You remember that? I mean, but then during the summer, you know, you're talking about playground and being in the dark now. During the summer, you know, your midnight campfires while you're camping are in the light.
Yeah, there is that.
Which is strange. It's strange to go to bed. It's like sunshine, still light out.
Yeah. Now, well, it's brighter outside than we'd like it to be right now because it's snowing again. There's still snow on the ground. Bree, as we're looking here over at the Poplar Street Bridge, you can see traffic has really slowed down. And we got some radar pictures to show you this morning as you can see what's going on here with the radar. And again, we are talking about, and I switched the mode there just for you in case you just didn't notice that. Now into just the regular green shaded tables. And the reason I did that is because that darker green shows up better and it shows us where the heavier snow is. And you see that band that's slicing through right now. And you can really pick it out, going from Wentzville right on down into West St. Louis County and right on to the southeast.
Yeah, and where those heavier bands are, Scott, that's where those big fat flakes are. And those big flat, wow, that's a hard one, big fat flakes are reducing visibility, they are also making road conditions very slippery. I'll tell you the truth. I spun out on an on-ramp onto 64 this morning as well. That has never happened to me before, and I drive like a grandma too. So definitely want to take it easy this morning. It's not a whole lot of snow, and it won't lead to much as far as accumulations, especially when you compare it to what we had last weekend. But it is just enough, with roads already struggling out there, to really make it a little bit treacherous. Now this will continue to lift off to the north. Temperatures will continue to warm as we head through the morning as well, and that's why we're talking about the snow transitioning into some freezing drizzle, unfortunately happening right around sunrise this morning, that 6 to 7 a.m. hour, and continuing through noon. It will not take much for that freezing drizzle to ice some spots and create even more slick conditions. Now we're kind of cut in half right now temperature-wise. Teens as you look to the north, mid to upper 20s as you look to the south. That's that warming I was telling you about. 29 right now in Salem, 28 Farmington, 18 Pittsfield. Everyone will eventually warm as we start to push a little further to the north. Not a super warm day, but it will be enough to get us to transition into that freezing drizzle and then into the mid-30s. 19 right now with a little bit of that snow falling through the St. Louis area. We'll continue to watch those bands push through. We'll take a closer look at that full forecast in just a little bit. Now we have team coverage of road conditions with commuter dudes on both sides of the river. And right now we're going to toss it to Jim Tuxbury in Missouri. Hi, Tux.
Hey, good morning, Bree. Right now you'll find me on Highway 44. I'm headed westbound, just crossing over Elm Avenue in Webster Groves. I can tell you what's going to happen this morning. People are going to make a big mistake and travel way too quick for the road conditions. I can tell you the roads are slick. I've already heard that you spun out. I heard that Jeff Wilson had a little spin out. That's okay when there's nobody around, but when the roads get crowded, that turns into a whole different story. So here's the deal. When you're out this morning, dial it back, drive slowly, make sure that you're able to get to where you're going. That'll not only help you out, obviously, by not having to file a claim with your insurance company, it's going to help the rest of us out because we're not going to have to wait in traffic to get where we're going. So keep it slow, take it easy, you'll get there. The roads are definitely slick. They're starting to cover with snow. I can say that, people are probably thinking, I'm used to driving. Well, you might be used to driving in the snow over the last couple of days, but this one's just a little bit different. There's just enough here on the roads to make it really slick. Anyway, I'm going to keep it out here on the roads this morning. I'll be telling you where the trouble spots are. Jeff Wilson will be on the east side, but for now, I'm commuter dude Jim Tuxbury. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Jim. Well, it's now 4:22, and of course, we're starting to see the school closings just pile up.
Yeah, you can see on the bottom of our screen, we have about 200. You can also go to KSTK.com/closings. As you just heard Jim Tuxbury say, it's shaping up to be one of those mornings. Keep it here. We have team coverage throughout the rest of the morning right here on Today in St. Louis.
4:25 our time. You're looking live at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Look how murky it is out there right now. Snow is falling from our sky around St. Louis. A lot of these untreated side roads, or even side roads that were treated that don't have traffic on them, they're snow-packed again as we're getting a band of snow moving through. National Weather Service has expanded the winter weather advisory a little farther north, running it through noon today, as we're going to see some snow this morning. Probably less than an inch, but then it transitions over to a bit of freezing drizzle here a little later on this morning and through lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, temperatures should go above freezing, 35 this afternoon for the high. Again, not a lot of accumulation, but enough out there this morning to really slicken things up once again. So you're going to need to take some extra time. Jeff Wilson's one of our two commuter dudes cruising around this morning. He's on the Illinois side of the river. Jeff, did I hear you say earlier that you spun?
Yes, I did, Scott. I was on the getting on the on-ramp near my house on my way into work this morning. About 50 miles per hour, very slow, spun out, nice slow motion, 360-degree turn, ended up going in the right direction. Fortunately, there was no traffic, and everything was fine. I just continued on my way. That's not always the case. Many people end up hitting the pile of snow that's on the side of the road, and they're stuck there, or they go off into the ditch, and that ruins their day. So be careful. It is very slippery out there. Right now, I'm on Highway 270 in Illinois, going east towards Edwardsville. As you can see on my dash cam, I have more or less one lane open. The Illinois Department of Transportation has been out heavily salting and treating these roads, but it is slippery. If there's a lot of traffic coming out here now, they'll have to move over. There's some big slippery spots here. It's very easy to spin out. So take it easy, take your time, leave early, leave late. Like everybody's been saying, this isn't a lot of snow today, but it's going to be very slippery. I'm going to send it back to the studio now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeff. Great reminders for everybody. And how about this? It's the first day of competition at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships in Boston.
Now, the competition will determine which skaters are named to Team USA for the Winter Olympics. That's where we turn to our News Channel 5 Ann Allred, who joins us from Boston.
Good morning from Boston. Let's get you up to speed on the people you need to watch out for, the people with local ties to our area. There are two St. Louisans in this competition. Barbie Long, who is 17 years old, and it's her first time competing at this level. There's also Brandon Morose from South County. He placed 9th at this same competition last year. Gracie Gold, the 18-year-old who everybody says is a shoo-in. She lived in both Springfield, Missouri and Springfield, Illinois. Then there's John Coughlin, the veteran pair skater from Kansas City. He took first place in this competition 2 years ago. And he actually told me having Midwest roots helps.
Midwestern people are a little more laid back, and I think having that, that low heart rate in stressful situations is kind of a good thing as an athlete.
An Olympic berth would be a first for all 4 of these athletes. We're going to bring it to you all from Boston, but also you can tune in this weekend and watch for yourself right here on News Channel 5. Saturday, the coverage is from 2 to 5, then 7 to 10, and on Sunday from 2 to 4. In Boston, I'm Ann Allred, News Channel 5.
Okay, thanks, Ann. Now, with the Sochi Olympics just a few weeks away, construction's taking place at a frenzied pace. Russia has poured more than $728 million into the 3 Olympic villages for the Winter Games. The villages are scheduled to open on January 24th, and the first group of athletes will check in on January 30th. And of course, you saw Ann there in Boston for those figure skating trials. And that's always one of the most popular sports during the games because people watch and they get to know the different skaters and the storylines and they start rooting. So it's so cool that there are these local people competing.
Yeah, and not to be a downer, but it's also 20 years since Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding and all of that drama. So there's quite a bit of history with figure skating and so many greats specifically coming out of the United States with you know, Christy Yamaguchi and Sarah Cohn and things of that nature. So it's good. It's nice to see everyone out there doing so well, but definitely going to be tuned in on Saturday and Sunday.
And I'm going to age myself, but when I was a kid, Peggy Fleming was one of the big stars.
She was a commentator, so if you watch figure skating, you still would know about her. I mean,
but her hairstyle became all the rage. You know, in fact,
yeah.
your hair right now, not exactly a Peggy Fleming, I don't know. But it was a very popular hairstyle.
I was like, oh, where's he going with this?
I sound like Grandpa Simpson. It was the style of the times. It's now 4:30.
And you're watching Today in St. Louis.
You're watching News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
School is canceled here at Shenandoah Valley Elementary, but not because of the snow coming down. We have details.
And snow is coming down across the area. Across much of the metro area, it's picked up. It doesn't last all day. We'll get you caught up.
Not just snow, but freezing drizzle in the forecast as well. What that means for the rest of your Thursday.
And welcome back. It is 4:30 on this Thursday morning. I'm Sarah Daly.
And I'm Pat McGonigal in for Nicole. We're getting you ready for another big day ahead, so we have team coverage once again on this latest round of snow.
That's right, Pat. Bree and Scott are tracking your forecast, and Scott is bearing some of the cold temperatures this morning. Live on the plaza with a look at your radar. Bree also has some snow totals, but let's go ahead and begin with Scott. Good morning.
You know, temperatures this morning are down around that 20-degree mark here in St. Louis. It's a little bit warmer down to our south, but we do have some snow that's flying across the metro area right now, and it's going to continue for a little while longer. You look at our first alert weather radar here, and really, as you're checking it out, you run right along Interstate 64, right on into St. Louis, all the way from the St. Clair, Clinton County line through the metro area, and then out along Interstate 70. That's where the band of heaviest snow is. It's now pushing into Granite City, pushing towards Wood River, pushing into Maryland Heights. It's headed into Florissant again. It's going to pick back up in the Florissant area and then across northern portions of St. Charles County. And then it lets up a little bit as you go farther to the south. So again, we're dealing with that pushing in right now, but it's not just snow that is a situation we have to monitor today, Bree. It looks like we're going to have to deal with some other freezing precipitation before the day is over.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the one thing we really hate the most. I think it's freezing rain, freezing drizzle in the forecast, Scott, and that's what we're talking about as we head towards sunrise this morning. Now, take a look, big picture of the airport right now. You're starting to see those snow-covered roadways. Big fat flakes are falling right now, and we're not going to get a whole lot as far as accumulations, generally under an inch, but it is creating it's definitely some reduced visibility out there. Temperatures are also very cold at this hour. Now, here's the tricky bit. We're right around 20 right now. Well, we're going to warm as we head through the day. It's definitely not going to be a balmy afternoon, but we are going to crack freezing, and that means as we head towards sunrise, that's when we're looking at those snowflakes to start to melt just a bit and turn into a little bit of that freezing drizzle, and it will have no trouble causing some icing on whatever surfaces it does land on, your walkway, your driveway, and the roadways you may be driving on. So we're 20 right now, 30 as we head towards noontime today. As we head towards the evening, talking about 35 degrees. Now, we are watching those road conditions like a hawk with both of our commuter dudes, both in Missouri and Illinois. Right now, we're going to send it out to Tux. How's it looking, Tux?
Hey, good morning, Bree. It looks pretty good. I'm on Highway 270. I'm headed northbound. Just got off of Highway 44. 44 was snow-covered, very slick, as you can see ahead of me. There's nobody on the road here on Highway 270 as I approach Doherty Ferry Road. And I'll tell you why. That's because just behind me, there's a gang of MoDOT snowplows. They're taking care of the roads. I wasn't lucky enough to get in behind them, so I've got some slick roads to deal with. I saw them as I was coming around the ramp on Highway 44, and I thought, if I just stay slow enough, I can get in behind them, but I couldn't stay slow enough. So I'm dealing with wet and sloppy roads here. They're very slick, and 270 is going to be a major problem this morning if this keeps up for much longer, because I can tell you, even when you're traveling slow, things are slick. This is going to be a tricky one. We'll keep it out here all morning so that you can get to work safely. I am commuter dude Jim Tuxbury. I'm going to throw it over to my colleague, Jeff Wilson in Illinois. Jeff, how's it over there?
Good morning, Jim. Well, thanks. The roads over here, right now I'm on 159 going north through Glen Carbon, approaching Edwardsville. The road, as you can see on my dash cam, is still nicely covered with this nice, slick, dry snow. Be careful. I can see some tracks all over the place. It looks like somebody spun out just a little while ago. The highways over here have been treated with salts and chemicals. They are starting to melt and get a little slushier, and as the traffic builds, that will work up the chemical and help those highways a little bit. But the side roads, the side highways, 159 here and other highways like this through towns are still pretty slick, so be careful. Even in the subdivisions that have been cleared a little bit, it's very slippery. Give yourself a little extra time this morning. I'm going to send it back to the studio now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jeff. 4:35 now, and a Parkway school will be closed for the rest of the week.
The extreme cold caused some pipes to burst and flooding the building.
News Channel 5's Stephanie Diffin is live at Shenandoah Valley Elementary in Chesterfield in the Parkway District. Stephanie?
Pat and Sarah, that's right. It's still snowing fairly hard out here in Chesterfield, but that's not actually why school is canceled here at Shenandoah Valley Elementary for the rest of the week. That pipe burst put 2 feet of water inside the school. That obviously is making it impossible for students to have class here for the rest of the week. Now, a school crisis team will be meeting today to talk about how to go forward with the school year because the water has caused some major damage to classrooms. Yesterday, teachers were all allowed inside the building to try and salvage what they could after staff arrived to find water pouring from the ceiling of a restroom. The pipe burst caused nearly half of the school to flood, so now crews will have to dry out the building and administrators will have to address concerns about contamination and mold.
I think it's going to be a work in progress. We really don't know how it's going to pan out or where we will be or if we'll even be in the building. A lot of times students, they go with the change better than adults do, so hopefully that will make a difference.
Are you worried?
Actually, not too much. I guess because we did go through it in the spring.
That is the principal referencing straight line winds that tore the roof off this same school. The principal says what that experience taught them is that the parents here are incredibly supportive. She says that they were bringing food and helping teachers with their classroom. She says she expects that same support this time around. Now, a total of 7 schools in the Parkway District did sustain some damage because of burst pipes, but this is the only school that has already canceled class through the rest of the week. We're live in Chesterfield. Stephanie Diffin, News Channel 5.
Okay, thanks a lot, Stephanie. And we just got word real quickly that the Francis Howell School District in St. Charles County has called off classes for this morning. Now we're going to move on to another school closed because of water damage. 2/3 of Johnson Wabash Elementary School in Ferguson Florissant District was damaged when a sprinkler head froze. So classes there are canceled for the rest of the week and will be temporarily moved to the First Baptist Church of Ferguson next week. An informational meeting for parents will be held tonight at 5:30 at the Johnson Wabash School gym.
And Pat, we aren't the only ones thawing out from the deep freeze. From frozen waterfalls in Tennessee to thick ice on the Niagara River in Buffalo, New York, a large and growing death toll is now associated with this unusual and record-setting event. And the polar vortex is estimated to have cost the economy up to $5 billion. That's quite a steep winter session there.
Brutal.
It has just been a rough one, and you think we're not even 2 weeks into January, right? And everyone's, I think, already feeling like spring anytime now. Come on down. So we will continue to watch the snow that's pushing through the area. I do want to let you know we have over 200 closings right now, and they'll be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can always get an updated list online at ksdk.com. Now, the snowfall that we're watching this morning, it really isn't that heavy. The tricky part is that we're still recovering from last weekend. So these snow bands that have been pushing through, and some of them have been fairly moderate to heavy snowfall at times, they are accumulating very quickly. We're not looking at really significant accumulations, generally under an inch. The tricky part is as we head through the morning, you're already starting to see a little bit of pink pop up in our extreme southern counties. We are looking at some of this snowfall to melt and turn into some freezing drizzle, and that will no doubt lead to some quick icing in spots. Driveways, walkways, roadways will be very slippery. That's why winter weather advisory has been pushed further north, just about the entire viewing area. This is through noon today for the concern of accumulating snowfall, even if it is just minor. That will cause those road conditions to deteriorate. And then, of course, that freezing drizzle is not going to help us. So this morning's commute, the keywords, slick, sloppy, snowy. That's going to be the theme. So you're going to want to plan that extra time and really take it easy. Go slower than you think you should. By tonight, skies should be dry, but it's going to take us a while to clean up these roads. So today we're talking about more snow and freezing drizzle, temperatures coming up into the mid-30s. Tonight we're mostly cloudy, down to 30, and if you can believe it, tomorrow mid-40s, which means rain, and a fairly good amount of rain looks to come tomorrow night. So it's only going to get a little bit sloppier as we head into the weekend. Speaking of the weekend does actually look a little bit better, so we're going to take a look at that in just a little bit. Your full forecast, that's coming up. Pat and Sarah?
All right, thanks, Bree. And as Bree mentioned, you can find all the closings, also some winter weather resource guide that's on our website, ksdk.com.
It is 4:40. A lot of closings are starting to roll in. Keep it tuned right here.
All right, time's coming up on 4:43 this morning. You look downtown, we can at least make out the Gateway Arch. At times this morning, it's been snowing hard enough where we've had trouble seeing those 10 blocks. And yes, there's a fresh coat of snow on the ground. It's not a lot. Accumulations are generally going to be dusting up to an inch. And you see the band that's been producing that heavier area of snow now along 64 and moving up now along Interstate 70 here inside the 255 loop, basically, and around the 270 north side here. As you go all the way from the Chain of Rocks Bridge all the way over towards 370, we're looking at that snow coming down at a pretty good clip. And it's enough while it's coming down to certainly slicken things up. Still snowing all the way down 255 and even down 55 into Arnold. But then once you get a little farther to the southwest, we get into more of a scenario where there might be just some patchy drizzle or flurries and maybe freezing drizzle. And that's what we're going to look at a little later on this morning. So winter weather advisories are in effect. Now, we're still 19 in St. Louis, but notice, boy, there's a big contrast there in those colors. You go south of St. Louis, you're on the other side of the front, and temperatures are at least in the upper 20s. We should be in the mid-30s this afternoon. So eventually we'll transition to over just drizzle, but it's a later on today. Between now and lunchtime, though, we have some snow and then the potential for some freezing drizzle and some slick spots. Speaking of slick spots, our commuter dude Jim Tuxbury's cruising around on the Missouri side of the river. We got it on both sides of the river, but Tux, you're on the Missouri side.
Hey, that's right, Scotty. Actually, you'll find me on Highway 64. I'm headed westbound, just coming up on Maryville Center Drive. Want to pass along a little information. There's a guy on the eastbound lanes of Highway 64, just over the hill at Mason Road. He's spun out. He's in the center median. If I could call out to you guys to give a shout to the police and maybe give him some assistance out there. That just happened as I drove on by. So, Scotty, if you or someone back on the assignment desk could help this guy out, I'd sure appreciate it. Anyway, I've been on Highway 270. Things look pretty sloppy and slick there. Highway 44, also sloppy and slick. 55, when I was on it about 25 minutes ago, snow-covered. About one lane was truly passable. You can drive in any of these lanes. It's just going to take some caution. There's not a lot of snow on the ground, but there is a lot of slickness on the highway. Anyway, that's what's going on here. I'm going to keep it on the roads all morning to help you get to work on your morning commute. I am commuter dude Jim Tuxbury. Hey, Pat, what's going on back there?
Yeah, some other news at 4:45, Tux. This morning, the U.S. Navy now says a second crewman died following the crash of a Sea Dragon helicopter in the Virginia Capes. This is video from Norfolk Centara Hospital where 4 surviving crew members were taken after they were rescued on Wednesday. The chopper went down about 18 miles east of Cape Henry during a training exercise. The search for that 5th crew member is happening right now. And former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords marks the anniversary of the Tucson shooting by jumping out of a plane. How about that? Giffords was one of 13 people wounded in a mass shooting at a campaign event back in Tucson in 2011. 6 people died. So she went skydiving over southern Arizona with a friend. The Today Show's Savannah Guthrie went along, and she'll have the entire skydive this morning with an exclusive look a bit later on the Today Show. But right now it is 4:46. As you can see, snow coming down steadily. As Scott and Bree have been saying, nothing significant in amounts like we saw earlier this week, but just enough to make the morning commute tricky.
That's right, Pat, thinking of weather, but if you haven't taken a peek outside, there's definitely going to be some slick conditions on the roads. We have team coverage on both sides of the river, and we'll get you up to speed on the traffic situation when we come back. And traffic-wise this morning, we've been discussing the weather situation. Just a dusting out there, but it is just enough, given the winter weather we've had the past couple of days, to cause some very slick conditions out there on the roads. Take a look here at this map. You can see that there are yellow sensors everywhere. No matter where you're headed this morning, there are going to be some seriously slow speeds, which is what we want to encourage because we don't want everyone out there just flying around town. That's going to cause some problems. So you can expect also to tack on some travel time out there. Take a look here at 55 and Butler Hill. You can see that traffic traveling northbound is starting to pick up just a bit. Southbound, same situation. Now the ramps, both on and off ramps, and a lot of the bridges and overpasses weren't in tip-top shape just yet. So this dusting is going to cause even more slick conditions out there, and the temperatures still very cold. So keep that in mind as well as you head out the door. But for an update on what we should expect for the rest of the day and if we're in store for warm-up, good morning, Bree Smith.
Good morning, Sarah. Yeah, unfortunately, it is looking pretty slippery, pretty sloppy, and snowy to start the day. Take a look at the First Alert Weather Radar. We've got the white and the purple, we've got the pink and the green as you look further to the south. And unfortunately, some of that pink is going to mix in with our radar. We're talking about the chance to see a little freezing drizzle this morning. And as you said, with roads already not being tip-top, this is not helpful. This is not a good way to start a Thursday. So not necessarily widespread snow, but we are seeing some heavier bands embedded with this. You see that when you see the darker purple color contours, or when we turn the different version of the radar on that Scott's been showing with the green, you see those heavier bands in there. This is again a very dry snow. It's that not good snowman snow. So big, fat flakes that can really coat the roadways very quickly, and that's exactly what we're seeing. The heaviest band just lifted north of that 64 corridor and 70 through Missouri. It will continue to push to the northern third of our viewing area. Folks along I-70 in Illinois, you want to have a heads up. That band's going to push through that area. That will coat those roadways, especially those overpasses. That's why winter weather advisory has been pushed further north to include most of the viewing area. This is through noon today. Because of the concern of those light accumulations, should be generally less than an inch for everyone. It's just the fact that we were already struggling to get those roads clean. This is not helping. Once we head towards sunrise, we are looking to warm enough that that snow may transition to some freezing drizzle, and that will, of course, freeze instantly when it hits the ground and cause some very, very slippery conditions. So we are seeing a pretty strong temperature contrast. That's actually because there's a front draped across the middle. No big deal really, except that it tells you the further north you are, you're in the teens. Further south you are, you're actually near 30 degrees, and that's why we've got that concern for freezing drizzle. So we are talking about a bit of a warm-up today, which we've all been begging for. It just would be nice if we could have gotten that warm-up without the freezing rain, right? Mid-30s as we head towards 3 p.m., down to 34 as we head overnight. You take a look at the next 7 days, and we are warming and thankfully finally drying out, but that doesn't happen until Saturday or Sunday. So folks really need to be alert, Pat and Sarah, for today for those slippery conditions, and then rain tomorrow is just going to make it really sloppy and slushy.
Doesn't sound like fun. A lot of flooding in basements and things of that nature. So, of course, we want to keep your family safe and sound through all this weather that is moving through the area in the next 48 hours. Stay tuned right here to KSDK and KSDK.com.
You're taking a live look at Chesterfield right now by Shenandoah Valley Elementary, where you can see the snow still coming down. And this is downtown St. Louis. Similar story. We have team coverage to take you through the morning. We'll be right back.
And word today, the record cold spell could cost the U.S. economy up to $5 billion. That's with a B, dollars. Millions of Americans haven't been able to drive to work, fly, or take a train to meetings or even vacation. Also out for many, trips to malls, theaters, and restaurants. But thankfully, things are warming up just a bit, and we're going to see rain instead of snow, which will make a mess, Bree, but I don't know. There's kind of the good with the bad, you know?
Well, you know, and the other part is the timing on this. So many of these winter storms, especially in December when it was holiday shopping time, are happening on the weekends when most people go out. So I know it's also really hard for local businesses too. Unfortunately, our weather not great this morning. It does look good for this weekend. So, I mean, I'd encourage folks to get out, visit your favorite restaurant shops, go around downtown, support those local businesses.
Good point, yeah.
Right now we're talking about temperatures that are hovering around that 20-degree mark, and if we switch it over to Max 2, I can actually show you the radar pushing through, and you see those heavier snowfall bands. This isn't going to lead to a whole lot as far as accumulation, unfortunately. It's just not going to take a whole lot for things to get pretty sloppy this morning. Roadways that were dry at midnight are slightly snow-covered now, and as we head towards sunrise, we're talking about transition to some freezing drizzle, so that will no doubt lead to more slippery conditions as we head through that morning commute.
You can tell school officials are getting up and checking things out because we are getting more and more closings. So we'll bring you up to date on that. Also, new technology from the Consumer Electronics Show going on in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't that sound nice just for a change of pace?
Vegas.
Maybe there's technology that can keep the snow away. I don't know.
It's always cool. They always have some really cool stuff. Okay, we'll be right back. Keep it right here on Today in St. Louis.